Welcome to Dualshock'd, the Brotherhood of Geeks PlayStation podcast. This is episode 51, where today we're going to be talking about this massive article that has come from Bloomberg, written by Jason Schreier, about Sony's obsession with blockbusters, and it's been stirring unrest within the PlayStation empire, along with some other things that have been happening over the past few months about the progression of Microsoft and Game Pass, along with pretty much the closing of the PlayStation Store on the PS3, the PSP, and PS Vita, which we'll be discussing more about today. I'm one of your hosts, Brett J. Rasmussen, and over here, I got my other co-host,
Guru Blaze.
Yes! Yes! What is up, Guru Blaze?
Oh, not too much.
Yeah, man. Woo, it's been a long time. It's been a while. I'm pretty sure that you've been very busy with whatever you've been doing. It's been a while.
Basically just working a lot and then being too tired to do anything else when I get home.
I believe this is the first time of the year 2021 that we've been able to hear from you. Yeah, I think
so. Yeah, since I've been on. So
I am very glad that you are back and everything like that, which... I know I know that we talked about, when last time you were on, we talked about Ghost of Tsushima, and we talked about you're a big fighting game fan. Which last year we gave I'm tripping over my words. As you probably already know, but we gave Ghost of Tsushima Game of the Year of 2020 last year. Oh yeah, most definitely. And I'm guessing that you're really excited for that Mortal Kombat movie.
Oh, I'm so excited for that movie.
It looks great. It looks really good.
Suffice to say, it's not a whitewashed cast.
Mm-hmm.
The guy making it has been working on it for 7 years and is adamant about trying to make it, true to script.
Yeah.
And he was quoted as saying that his whole goal is to set a new precedent for what fighting scenes should be in a movie, which...
Mortal Kombat has been doing that.
That's all I needed to hear.
Mortal Kombat has been doing that in their video games anyway.
That's what I'm saying. But you can do, especially now with the ability of CGI that we have.
Oh yeah,
it's gonna be. I mean, because objectively, even the first Mortal Kombat movie from '93, which I still love, as campy as it is, it's still, I think, objectively one of the best video game movies ever made, even to this day.
Have you seen... Oh, go ahead.
No, other than maybe Sonic recently.
Ooh, I do agree. But have you seen... Sonic is amazing, and...
I did enjoy it.
I love Sonic, and
because I love Jim Carrey.
And he very much carried that movie, but... if they didn't do that whole rework, the look of Sonic and everything like that...
Oh, yeah, no, that's exactly it.
The movie would only be carried by Jim Carrey, but now it very much feels like, there's a lot of working parts that are moving together, and because of the success of Sonic, they're doing Sonic 2, which they led into, and I love it. Have you seen...
Knuckles will be in it.
Oh, my God, yes. Have you seen Rampage, though?
No, I haven't.
That is a movie that you need.
I know of it, and I know what it's been. Just I had with the Rock. I just actually haven't watched it, but I've heard it was pretty decent.
Oh, that is another video game movie.
I know it's the old arcade game. Right?
And it's very much it's just, do you want to see big monsters fight big monsters?
I also need to see Godzilla vs. Kong. I've heard it's good.
Oh, it's so good. Oh, man, I saw that in theaters with my guys, and dude, worth it. That's one of those movies where it's no, you have to see it in theaters. Yeah, you can get it on HBO Max, sure, but you have to see it in theaters.
Right, it's one of those bigger-than-life movies, for sure.
I also would want to see Black Widow. I know that's coming out.
Yep, I'm keeping tabs on that.
Yeah, that's really good, so... But yeah, so what else have you been up to? Have you been playing some video games?
Yeah, I mean, got a new gaming PC, so I'm playing a lot of stuff on there.
Nice.
And then playing a lot of Dark Souls Remastered because I hadn't beaten it yet and put it off for a while, but I'm trying to make my way through it, and I'm enjoying it. But yeah, lots of Civ 6,
Ooh.
digital card games.
Ooh.
Pretty much any given Steam game I see that's cheap enough for me not to buy it, and I'll just throw it in there.
You and Spectre will definitely get along, because Spectre will continue to be like, PC is better than console, and I'm like, I mean...
Well, fundamentally it is, only because there's no console on the market that with enough money would be able to surpass a PC with, if you put because I paid like $1,500 for my PC, as opposed, and not to say that, but again, it's getting closer and closer to the point where so many things are coming out on PC, that are also on console, that it becomes like you gain a lot more versatility with a PC than you have with a console, because it's also a computer, like a true computer.
Yeah,
and you have the ability through the modular nature of a PC to make it better without buying an entirely new thing, as you would have to with a console.
Yeah.
And unlike certain Sony consoles, they're easily available.
Yeah. Which one are we talking about?
Out of all of them.
Out of all of them. But yeah, so for me, I've talked about this on the past few episodes of Dualshock'd, but I have very much been playing a lot of Destiny 2.
Sure. I did recently dabble in it a little bit recently, just because I hadn't played it in a while, and there's a lot of changes and stuff, and it's like, I do like Destiny, but it's like, it's not the same game it is for you as it is for me, where that's your, I don't want to focus, but I still want to play something type of game and throw it on. I have different games for that, mostly like my card games and stuff, where it's like, what's the word I'm looking for? Not low input, but like low risk. There's low commitment to each game.
Low impact. It's low impact. Right. Like for me, I play Destiny, and I'm watching Raw or SmackDown, because
the fact that you do something else while you're doing
like I'm watching wrestling or a podcast or whatever. Right. The only episodes of wrestling that I actually intently watch, like without anything on, is,
and it's like I couldn't play Dark Souls and watch something else.
Yeah.
I need focus to be on that game, or I'll be dead. It's kind of.
Oh yeah, and mind you, like when you're doing raids, like you have to kind of be focused and stuff. Like the good thing is that one of my buddies was able to find a clan, and I joined in with them, and which was it's been really, really fun. I've been actually getting a lot of stuff done, and I'm so close to getting the platinum for that game, and that's what I've been working on. So that's kind of why I've been playing a lot of it too. Is like I'm really close to the platinum.
Well, then then there you go. That's a reason.
So yeah, and so I've also been playing It Takes Two. I'm playing that with my brother, and I'm right now working on the review for it. I know it's been a little bit longer than I expected and as I wanted, but that review is still going up. It's a lot of timing things.
Sure. But, and I've also been playing some older school games. Like I've been playing through the remake of Secret of Monkey Island.
Nice. Oh, those games are good.
Yeah, and I'm also playing with my girlfriend. We're playing through Soma.
Ooh.
Which is like a horror game made by the people who did Amnesia, Dark Descent, and it's very good so far. It's like a spooky, underwater, existentialist, first-person type of thing, but it's good. Because in addition to all the PC backlog I have, and even the physical backlog I have like a huge amount of just like undownloaded, but like PS Plus games that are just in my library that I've yet to touch.
Yeah,
but I put them in there because I got nothing to lose. So why wouldn't I? I'll get at it at some point. And Soma was one of those from a while back where I just didn't get around to playing it. But I was like, I haven't played a horror game in a while, and like gives us a game to play together. She plays a lot more. She's like very good at Overwatch, but she also really is like Assassin's Creed and Overwatch and Fallout 76 and those kinds of things. And I have Cyberpunk. I just haven't downloaded to my PS4 yet, but I might just bite the bullet.
Don't. I am telling you right now, it's bad. Like,
well, I know, but my buddy has the same one, and it still seems like I still want to play it, even if it does, just to experience what is good about it. But I might just get it on my PC. And
do it. I will tell you this: the way Cyberpunk has been made, there's tons of problem with that game.
Oh, I know. I've been keeping up on it because I've been wanting to play it regardless. Because I mean, yeah, I know it has issues, but it's like there's still probably enjoyment to be had.
Oh yeah, and there's people who do enjoy it. I played a bit of it, and it was not. I played it on my PlayStation. I'm not playing it on PC. I played it on PS4.
Yeah, well, that's what I have it for because that was the pre-order that I had, but I haven't opened it yet.
No, it's bad. It's not like you. If you want to play Cyberpunk, play it on your PC.
Yeah, I think I might just buy it on there and just keep my completely sealed PS4 in the hopes that it might just be a relic in the future, where it's just like a sealed copy of that game. Yeah. Since I won't need to use it.
Yeah. Which there have been a bunch of articles about the new patch for Cyberpunk 2077. There's a patch 1.2. I will put the sources of the articles in the description. We may come back to this later, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time of it today. Because we have to talk about that Bloomberg article. That's going to be our PlayStation conversation. We do have a little bit of news, but I'm going to quickly go through it. But I will cite all of the Cyberpunk 2077 because there has been a 1.2 patch that it all talks about what it's in. It's a massive update. And CD Projekt Red is going to promise to make marketing better in the future. There's another article about how if Cyberpunk 2077 will return to the PS Store. If it does, that's all on PlayStation, not on CD Projekt Red. The multiplayer of Cyberpunk may be dead now because they're right now focusing on fixing the game as it is.
Which is fine because I'd rather I wasn't getting that game for multiplayer. That would have just been a bonus.
Yeah, and now I'm like, don't work on the game that you have. And then, because of the new patch, which has been out for a while now, there have been a new set of bugs that have happened. I've just kind of went through bullet points. If you want to go ahead and read through it, I have all the sources and the sites in the description. And then if you do want to have us discuss the Cyberpunk 2077 and the patch and kind of just what has happened with it, please let us know in the comments, and we'll talk about it in a future episode.
Because I finally played it because it was, like I said, my buddy had it, and I just drove some vehicles around and just kind of wanted to see it and stuff. Mm-hmm. And then as soon as I went up to proposition a prostitute, her face looked like PS1, and then as soon as I engaged in a conversation, it just crashed. And it was so funny. Everything was fine up until that point, and then it's just like, nope, you sinner. You don't get this.
That sucks.
You get PS1 Hagrid face, and then a crash.
Ooh, that's bad. So, since we're already talking about news, why don't we go ahead and begin with what we always begin with. News of the Nation!
Indeed.
Yes. All right. I'm going to go through this really quick. A lot of the news outside of the Cyberpunk news that I talked about, there's just been only a few things that have happened. So, first and foremost, we are now in a new month. We are in April. So, we have new games for PlayStation Plus for the month of April. And actually, this is actually really kind of ironic. With the games that are free, and I'll say why it's ironic because it relates to our PlayStation conversation, our main topic. But from the PlayStation blog, pretty much on PlayStation Plus, you'll be getting 3 new games for this month. So first, your PS5 free game of the month is going to be Oddworld Soulstorm. That game has been announced since the showcase, and you get that for free. It actually launched, like you can buy it digitally right now. So the game is available on April 1st. So it wasn't like, already available before then. That's actually when the game launched. Similar to like how Rocket League did in the past, where Rocket League launched and it was a free plus game. Oddworld Soulstorm is a PS5 game that you get for free. There is a PS4 version of the game, but you get it for free on PS5. The other two games that you get for the month of April is Zombie Army 4 Dead War for the PS4, and the ironic one, Days Gone for the PS4. Mm-hmm. So you get Days Gone and Zombie Army 4 for free on PS4, which you and I talked about Days Gone, I believe.
And I still haven't played it, but I've seen enough gameplay and footage, and I've seen you play it, like where I pretty much have the same opinion on it.
Like I got the collector's edition. Like Days Gone, like what a great game. Like here, let me go ahead and grab that boy. Bam. Days Gone. I got the steelbook and everything. Love it. This is a great game. Sony Ben did a great job in this game. Is this like on the point of God of War or Spider-Man or Uncharted or Last of Us? No, it's not there. But like, is this still a fantastic game? Yes. Since this game has come out, I've always recommended people to play this game.
Well, it's like a game doesn't have to be perfect to be worth playing.
Exactly.
Because what game is perfect?
Mm-hmm.
Like you can make arguments, but if you take off the nostalgia filter, there really isn't a perfect game.
No, of course. And like the thing with like Days Gone, like the best part about it is fighting the hordes. The hordes is some of the most intense gameplay I've ever played in a video game. You just see these hordes of freakers, which are the zombies in the game, just coming at you, and it's and you have to like take them all out, and you're just one dude with a gun.
Right.
And Sam Witwer, who plays Deacon St. John, he's the main character, and he's such a good actor, and he's so great at what he does. So I like we'll be talking about Days Gone in a little bit, but I love this game. Like this game is a solid 3 out of solid game. And honestly, I might actually review this game again. I know it's been out since 2018. But I might actually do a review, like kind of looking back review for Days Gone in the future. I think it's worth it, kind of, especially with what's happening now. But Days Gone is a phenomenal game. Zombie Armor 4 haven't really played it, and then Oddworld Soulstorm, definitely do want to play that game. It looks great. And as always, if you do have PlayStation Plus, which you should if you need to play online, but if you don't, I definitely recommend still getting it. No matter what, even if you don't have a PS5, still add it to your library. Because what happens is that every month you get a free game, and then you...
Oh, yeah, it's like I was telling you earlier. Like, I have a bunch of games that I haven't downloaded or played, but I got them for free, and they're just sitting in the library, and they'll just be there as soon as I want to touch it.
Yep, so same thing. Like
you got nothing to lose, because it doesn't take up memory till you install it.
Exactly. So, like, you get to add it to your library, you get to keep it. As long as you have PlayStation Plus, you get to keep it. Just add it to your library, even if you're like, I don't even know about this game. Just add it to your library, so that way you can download it later. It's definitely worth it. And definitely, if you already have a PS4, I very much highly recommend playing Days Gone. Very much recommend playing Days Gone. Days Gone is such a good game. But let's move on. Next topic is that PAX 2021 has been canceled. This is coming from Twitter, from PAX's own Twitter. This is a bit old. This is, again, as if you haven't noticed, we didn't have an episode of Dualshock'd last week because of Easter. So this is a little bit old, but I still want to bring this up, is that anyone who was looking forward to PAX, it has been canceled. So in light of from Twitter, quote, In light of ongoing public health concerns, Reed Pop and Penny Arcade will not hold PAX East this year, given the U.S. progress towards addressing the pandemic in recent months. We are cautiously optimistic West and Unplugged will proceed in-person festivities September 3rd to the 6th and December 10th to the 12th. Since we cannot wait until September to reconnect with the wonderful PAX community, PAX Online will return July 15th to the 18th. So it's not going to be in person. And there is a link to a PAX East about why it's all happening there too. So another con that has been canceled because of in-person, which makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's like better safe than sorry. I mean, It's not like there won't be another year after this.
Exactly.
We can hope.
Yes. Let's move on. Next topic is that Summer Game Fest will be continuing this year in 2021. From a tweet from the official Summer Game Fest Twitter, this is which also Jeff Keighley pretty much runs this. From the official tweet, quote, Summer Game Fest returns this June, a spectacular, concentrated global showcase of the future of video games where everyone comes to play. Sign up now at summergamefest.com for event updates and text alerts. And it's just like last year, which I very much enjoyed. Summer Game Fest last year. That's where they announced Crash. That's where they announced Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2. It's really good. It kind of was a good supplement to E3 when it kind of disappeared.
Pretty much. Year.
So, really good. Okay. I had to go ahead and quench my throat. It's been,
Understandable. Anyway. Hydration is important.
Yes, it is.
In fact, it's the most important thing.
Let's move on. Next topic is that Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga has been delayed. From a tweet from the official TT Games, I think it's Traveler Tales. There we go. From the official tweet from TT Games, there's just a picture of it. It says, thanks to all our fans for your continued patience. And the picture states, quote, all of us at TT Games are working hard to make LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga the biggest and best ever LEGO game. But we're going to need more time to do it. We won't be able to make our intended spring release date, but we'll provide updated launch timing as soon as possible. Probably at E3 or something. But it's not going to be coming out in May like it was kind of suspected to come out. So, So we got that. Next topic is that Ratchet and Clank 2016 is going to be getting a PS5 upgrade. Pretty much what that means is that it's going to be getting the 60 FPS, 4K kind of update, kind of like how Last of Us Part 2, God of War all got. So it like back in March, because of the Play at Home campaign that they've been doing, it was a free game. You didn't even need Plus. You could just get it. So hopefully you all got it. If you haven't, please go get Ratchet & Clank 2016 because it is a phenomenal game. Really, really fun. But if you have a PS5, you're going to be getting that like high fidelity for that game, which is great. So it's not a PS4 version. It's going to be getting that PS5 treatment for it, which is great. Guru Blaze is just like, all right. Great.
Yeah. Oh, you got the news. I don't. So. It's news to me, honestly. I'm listening.
Oh, I'm glad that you're listening. All right. That's good. All right. And then, last but not least, for the news, again, this is all really short because I have a lot of news from the past few weeks concerning our PlayStation conversation. But for this, our last one, is that HBO's The Last of Us TV show, the adaptation of it, will be shooting in the Calgary area. And it'll be starting in July. The filming will be starting in July. So this article comes from CBC. And it just pretty much talks about how, what when it's going to be recording. So it's like starting production is going to be in the province on July 5th and wrap up on June 8th of 2022. So almost an entire year of filming.
Sounds about right.
Which I am looking forward to this movie because it has been reported that this TV show, excuse you. This TV show is going to be almost a one-to-one adaptation of the first Last of Us game. Although
which is the only way that I'd want to see it. Because, I mean, it's like that game is essentially a movie already. It probably should be like one of the easiest transitions to film if they do it properly.
Yeah, well...
but we've seen how that works in the past. So
so we'll see. But pretty much this article talks about how they're kind of going for... they're trying to go for the same feel of the first game. There will be a few episodes that will drift a little bit off of the main story, like kind of tell their own things. Probably give a bit more backstory to characters that the game couldn't do, because the game you have to spend time with gameplay and like training the player to like, all right, this is how the game works and stuff like that. So we will definitely see how this goes. So yeah. So that's all I have. We have a very long PlayStation conversation about to go into. You ready for this?
I'm ready.
All right. This is our PlayStation conversation.
PlayStation.
My bad, I'm just tired.
You're good.
I'm just in a perpetual state of exhaustion lately, so...
welcome to my world. It's WrestleMania weekend, and that's just been me. So... as time of recording, it's been WrestleMania. By the time this goes up, WrestleMania will be done, and we'll go from there. But I know you have seen this article. This is very, very big news.
You're talking about the Bloomberg article?
Yes, we're talking about the Bloomberg article. So Jason Schreier reported on April 9th. Pretty much was stating that Sony's obsession with blockbusters is stirring unrest within PlayStation Empire. Quote, a small team had big ambitions for a Last of Us remake, but Sony handed the work to Star Studio Naughty Dog. I'm going to go a bit through the article. We'll jump around and then we'll discuss this. Beginning, quote, Sony's Corp's Visual Arts Service Group has long been the unsung hero of many hit PlayStation video games. The San Diego-based operation helps finish off games designed at other Sony-owned studios with animation, art, or other content in development. But about 3 years ago, a handful of influential figures within the Visual Arts Service Group decided they wanted to have more creative control and lead game direction rather than being supporting actors on popular titles such as Spider-Man and Uncharted. Michael Mumbauer, who took over the direction of the Visual Arts Service Group in 2007, recruited a group of about 30 developers internally from neighboring game studios to form a new development unit within Sony. The idea was to expand upon some of the company's most successful franchises, and the team began working on a remake of the 2013 hit The Last of Us for the PS5. But Sony never fully acknowledged the team's existence or gave them the funding and support needed to succeed in the highly competitive video game market, according to people involved. The studio never even got its own name. Instead, Sony moved ownership of The Last of Us remake to its original creator, Naughty Dog, Sony-owned studio behind many of the company's best-selling games and the next HBO TV series based upon that game. Deflated, the small group's leadership has largely disbanded. According to interviews with 8 people familiar with the operation, many, including Mumbauer, have left the company entirely. Mumbauer declined to comment, and others asked not to be named discussing private information. A representative for Sony declined to comment or provide interviews. The team's failure highlights the complexity hierarchy of the video game development and, in particular, Sony's conservative approach to making games for the PS5. The Japanese conglomerate owns about a dozen studios. It's actually about 13 across the world as part of the PlayStation Studios label. But in recent years, it has prioritized games made by the most successful developers. So Santa Monica, God of War. California-based Naughty Dog, who did Uncharted and Last of Us. And Amsterdam-based Guerrilla Games, who did Horizon Zero Dawn, spend tens of millions of dollars to make games with the expectation that investments will pay off exponentially. And they usually do. All of those games that I have mentioned either got nominated or have won multiple Game of the Year awards. Hits including 2018's God of War and 2020's Last of Us Part 2 are exclusive to PlayStation consoles, helping Sony sell some 114 million consoles of the PS4. Rival Microsoft Corporation has taken the next approach, relying on a wide array of studios to feed its Netflix-like subscription service, Xbox Game Pass, which allows users to pay a monthly fee, which is $10, for unlimited access to a variety of games. So it continues talking about how Sony's focus on exclusive blockbusters has come to the expense of niche teams and studios within the PlayStation organization, leading to high turnover and less choice for players. Last week, Sony... So there's an article. I was going to bring this up, and I'm glad this is being brought up. Back in the article, this is from Bloomberg. Quote, last week, Sony reorganized the development office in Japan, resulting in mass departures of people who worked on less well-known but acclaimed games such as Gravity Rush and Everybody's Golf. The company has informed developers that it no longer wants to produce smaller games that are only successful in Japan, Bloomberg reported.
I love Everybody's Golf.
So, I know. So, the studio they're talking about is Japan Studio. Right. Studio Japan. The guys behind, they're the guys who helped with the Demon Souls, Demon Souls remaster, Last Guardian, Everybody's Golf, Gravity Rush 1 and 2, which are great games. Knack, they worked on Knack. They were a big, like, they made a bunch of really good games. Yes, they didn't sell millions of copies, but the games they made were...
But it's again, as a side note to that idea, it's like a game's ability to sell millions does not have any... it's like all games that sell insanely high volumes are no doubt good games, but that is not a mutually exclusive thing to what a good game is. There's a bunch of amazing games that barely anybody knows about.
Yeah.
And it's only because they don't have the resources or not given the resources to be able to market it effectively, or it's only a certain group of people that like it. Like, as an example, Dark Souls, when that first came over, it became popular, and became huge, but it didn't start that way, and now it's considered, a masterpiece. And it's like, you can't just, money is not the only thing a good game should be about.
Yeah, I agree. Because I believe, Studio Japan did Knack 1 and 2. I want to double check that. But, there's a bunch of games that they worked on. And they were great. I very much do enjoy Studio Japan. Studio Japan is a great studio. But what has happened, it kind of paraphrased. This is this paragraph about Studio Japan kind of paraphrased what happened, but pretty much what they're talking about is that Studio Japan has been kind of consolidated, has been reorganized, and has been kind of sucked into as supplement to other parts of Sony. So instead of Studio Japan, now they're just kind of been sucked into Sony. And again, I do have an article from IGN talking more about this. Again, in the sources in the description below. Please go check that out for yourself so that way you can kind of have more information about this. But I'm glad that the article actually brought this up, because if it didn't, I was actually going to pull up that article. But again, it kind of talks, but it's okay. We're going to just keep going. Continuing with the article, quote, this fixation on teams that churn out hits is creating unrest across Sony's portfolio of game studios. This is what I was talking about regarding. Oregon-based studio Sony Bend, which was known for the 2019, I thought it was 2018, 2019 open world game Days Gone. tried unsuccessfully to pitch a sequel that year, according to people familiar with the proposal. Although the first game was profitable, its development had been lengthy and critical reception was mixed. So Days Gone 2 was seen as not a viable option. Instead, one team at the studio was assigned to help Naughty Dog with a multiplayer game, while a second group was assigned to work on a new Uncharted game with supervision from Naughty Dog. Some staff, including the top leads, were unhappy with this arrangement and left. Ben's developers feared they might be absorbed into Naughty Dog, and the studio's leadership asked to be taken off the Uncharted project. They got their wish last month and are now working on a new game of their own that will be part of a brand new franchise. Emphasizing big hits can also be counterproductive because sometimes games that start small can turn to massive success. In 2020, Sony didn't put much marketing muscle behind the quirky video game creation system Dreams by PlayStation's own Media Molecule in the UK. As a result, PlayStation may have missed out on its own version of Roblox, a similar video game tool parent company, Roblox Corp, which went public earlier this year, earlier this year in 2021, which is now valued at $45 billion. For their first solo project, Mumbauer and his crew wanted to pitch something that would be well received by their bosses at Sony, recognizing the risks and expense involved with developing a new game from scratch. They decided to focus on remaking older games for the PS5. Remakes are considered a safe bet since it's cheaper to update and polish an old game than it is to start from scratch, and they can be sold both to nostalgic old fans and curious new ones. The team originally pitched on a remake of the first Uncharted game released by Naughty Dog in 2007. That idea was quickly fizzled because it would be expensive and require too much added design work. Instead, the team settled on a remake of Naughty Dog's 2013 game, The Last of Us. The Last of Us 1. At the time, Naughty Dog was in the thick of development on the sequel, Last of Us Part 2, which would introduce higher fidelity graphics and new gameplay features. If Mumbauer's crew remade the first game to have the similar look and feel, the two games would be packaged together for the PS5. In theory, this would be a less expensive proposition than remaking Uncharted, since Last of Us was more modern and wouldn't require too many gameplay overhauls. Then, once Mumbauer's group had established itself, it would go on to remake the first Uncharted game and other titles down the road. But pivoting from doing finishing work for other games to making your own is difficult, since original development teams are competing against hundreds of other teams from all over the world with varying levels of experiences. That's a quote from Dave Lang, who is the founder of Iron Galaxy Studios, which he has served on as a support team for a development studio also. Continuing the quote from Dave Lang, quote, "The people funding the work are often risk-averse, and if they have to pick between a team that's done it before and someone trying to do it for their own for the first time, I can see why people pick the prior developer over the latter." And that's what Sony did. Mumbauer's project, named I believe it's T1X.
Yeah, I'm looking at the article. It's T1X.
Yeah. It was approved on probationary status, but Sony's team existence kept it secret and refused to give them a budget to hire more people, leading many to wonder if the company was really committed to letting the team build a new studio. Still, the team kept working. By the spring of 2019, they completed a section of the game design to showcase how the rest in the field, how it would look and feel. So, yeah, all right. So we got a little bit more. At the time, Sony was going through management shuffle, and the new boss wasn't impressed. Herman Hulst, who was the former head of Guerrilla Games, was named head of PlayStation Worldwide Studios in November of 2019. He thought the remake project was too expensive, according to people familiar with the matter, and asked why the planned budget for T1X was so much higher than remakes Sony has made in the past. The reason was that this one was brand new to the graphical engine of the PS5. Mumbauer needed to hire more people to help rework the graphics on new technology, as well as redesign of the gameplay mechanics. Holst was not convinced, people said. And then just when I hoped to enter production of Last of Us, Mumbauer's team got called in to help another big team when another game fell behind. Release of Last of Us Part 2 has been pushed back from pushed to 2020 instead of 2019, and Naughty Dog needed the visual arts service group to polish it off. Most of Mumbauer's team, along with some of the 200 or so other staff at Visual Arts Group Service, was assigned to support Naughty Dog, slowing down the progress of its own game. Then the roles got reversed. Sony sent word that after completion of Last of Us Part 2, some people from Naughty Dog would help out with T1X. Mumbauer's team saw this as their short-lived autonomy being stripped. Dozens of Naughty Dog staff were joining the project, and some had actually worked on the original Last of Us, giving them more weight in discussions about T1X's direction. The game was moved under Naughty Dog's own budget, which Sony gave more leeway than the Visual Arts Service Group. Soon it was apparent that Naughty Dog was in charge, and the dynamics have turned to what they had been for the last decade and a half. The Visual Arts Support Group aiding another team of developers rather than them leading. To Sony, the move made sense. Naughty Dog is, quote, one of the key studios for Sony's ability to sell PlayStation, said Bloomberg intelligence analysis Matthew Canterman. Continuing the quote, Sony's competitive advantage has always been exclusive content over Microsoft, and more new games as well as remakes of classic titles from such a storied team can help sustain the demand of the PS5. End quote. But for those that wanted independence were disappointed by the end of 2020, most of T1X's team top staff had left, including Mumbauer and the game's director David Hall. Today, T1X project remains in development at Naughty Dog with assistance from Sony's Visual Arts Support Group. The future of the remainder of Mumbauer's team, which had come to jokingly refer to as Naughty Dog South, remains unclear. That is the entire article. We went through the entire article, but there's a lot to kind of unwrap from this. So, what do you think, Guru Blaze? I'll let you begin.
Well, I mean, it's like from a business standpoint, a lot of the decisions that they seem to be making as far as like big Sony over the smaller like parts that make it up makes sense, especially given everything that's going on. But it's like, it's also like pretty, I think it's not only like morally questionable the way that they're like basically like dangling a carrot in front of these talented individuals who ultimately, if they're needed to support the development of these other games, even if they're being made by bigger studios, they are still that important. And the fact that they want to go out and do something like where they're in the lead, they obviously have the skill and talent to do it, but then they're not provided with the resources that the big ones are. And they probably could do something great, but if they're not being given any like, leeway to do it, they can only do so much when they don't have enough people to try to realize whatever their vision might be. And it's kind of just like it gives me a little bit of the just like the greasy 80s businessman feel, like when they're basically, it's just like, well, they've proven themselves, so we're just going to bank on them all the time, as opposed to, yeah, but what, how like you could have said that years ago, but like, okay, so before they prove themselves to be good, would you have treated them the same way? If you don't give the opportunity for people with the talent to do something good, the same resources that you gave to people who are now your key studios or whatever you want to call it, you're basically denying them the chance to prove they're just as capable, but through no fault of their own. You're just like, and as far as demand for the PS5, you don't even have enough PS5s to meet the current demand. So that argument is basically invalid to me.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like if you go look at Twitter, and honestly, it like the entire internet, and including us, of course, is very much kind of just going crazy, and like rightfully so. This is very damning of PlayStation right now. And this it doesn't help with what's happening over at PlayStation. We talked about last time on our episode 50, the old PlayStation store, about how PlayStation is shutting off the PlayStation Store for the PS3, the PSP, and the PS Vita this summer. The PSP and PS3 will shut down in July, and then in August, the Vita will be shut down. The stores, the PlayStation stores, not the system itself.
Which again I don't know why they would do that. If they stand to make a profit off of currently existing systems, whether they be old or not, because the main thing with me is like, one, the PS5 is still almost impossible to get your hands on at like the actual like price point that it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And two, there's virtually nothing on it. Like
really, like on the PS5, you really
like, or at least PS5 exclusives.
No, I get you. I agree.
A handful, like less than 20 games that I can think of off top, or and even less than that I would consider worth paying $70 for.
I mean, really, it's kind of just like if you want to play Demon's Souls, because the only way you can play the Demon's Souls remake is on the PS5. You can play Spider-Man Miles Morales on the PS4. So you don't have that.
But other than those, what I mean, shit.
I mean, Returnal is the next like PS5 only. That's only coming to PS5, but that's a new studio, and it's kind of, it worries me. So they're doing.
Well, it's almost like they're digging the hole for themselves deeper, because it's like, first of all, barely anybody can get one, and even if they can. You know, again, I know these things take time, especially with things in the world as the way they are now, but it's like, you can't expect someone to go out of their way or perhaps even pay more to get a PS5, like, scalping wise or whatever.
God. Well, when
you really don't have that much to currently offer on the system. Granted, it has a lot of PS4 games, no doubt, that you can play on it, but it's like, I still have a PS4. So why would I make the investment just for like a couple games that I want to play on it? It's like, ultimately at this point in time, it's not worth it. Especially again, the fact that you can barely even get your hands on one.
Well, yeah, it's a supply problem, honestly. Like, Xbox is having the same problem with the Series X. You just hear about the PS5 more because PlayStation kind of had kind of a leading momentum from the PS4 leading into the PS5. But honestly, it feels like things are changing with that also, because of Game Pass. Xbox Game Pass. I have my own feelings about it, and I'll discuss it in a little bit. But Game Pass is a massive reason why people are kind of looking at Xbox now as like, ooh, I kind of want to play the Xbox more.
And it's an understandable shift, as much as I want to, as much as I love Sony, like, in general, like PlayStation and, just not in a console war sense, but just because they've always had the better exclusives and the better value for me personally as a gaming consumer. But it's like, the way things are going and for how long it's been going on, it's like, even if Xbox isn't gaining momentum, Sony's losing it. And eventually, even if Microsoft's momentum maintained its current state, it would eventually overtake, because it may be static, but Sony's keeps going down. So eventually it's going to be like, well, I can't get a PS5, and I'm not going to pay more than $500 for that. Well, not to mention, again, that there's really only a handful of exclusives currently available. And I know that those things take time to make, but it's like, if people can't get your system anyway, then you're pretty much digging your own grave when you try to do this kind of stuff, because you're negating what made Sony and PlayStation so good, which is these really well-developed and creative titles that came from studios that, even if they weren't big names, how do you become a big name? The only way to get to that point, to be a Naughty Dog or a Santa Monica, is to have the resources you need to be able to allow the talent to flourish. And if you don't give people that, you're never going to have the next big thing, because you're just relying on old hat all the time.
So a few things. First, I can't really like use the PS5 system as a kind of a big reason of like that. It's a justifiable reason. I do agree with you.
Well, yeah, it's not
a problem only to Sony. Microsoft is having the same problem with the Series X.
It's just the most prominent, with the way things are now, comparing Microsoft and Sony.
I disagree.
Sony's definitely faltering more.
I disagree. Here's the thing, is that Microsoft ruined themselves, like, just out of the gate back in 2013 when
with the price bump on the
it was a multitude of different things. It was literally just a perfect storm for the PS4 to win. It literally was.
Price hike they did on their Xbox Gold, like doubling the price or wanting to do that.
So a few things. Back in 2013, PlayStation went ahead and had their reveal back in February. So they went first. And Sean Layden comes out and goes, we apologize for, like, we messed up with the PS3, but now we're going to do right by you. Game. PS4, here's the DualShock 4, so on and so on. We'll talk about more at E3. Bam. Then May comes in. Microsoft does their reveal, and it's the whole system. So it's the box and everything. Don Mattrick comes out and goes, TV, sports, games, TV, sports. Like, you can, like, it was all that, and the messaging was completely tone deaf. And what was the most damaging is, like, well, it's always online. If you don't have internet, use your 360. So literally just undercutting themselves, and then going, oh, it always needs to connect. Pay an extra $100 for this. So it's a $500 system where PlayStation went, it's $400 flat. No other versions, just $400.
And we have more games.
So
what's the
they just tripped over themselves, and they just they just ruined themselves. But then Phil Spencer came in, and Phil Spencer's like, my whole job is to fix this. I'm going to be he's actually been asked to be like head of Microsoft, and he's like, nope, I'm just going to run Xbox. I'm just going to run the Xbox division. He has turned down jobs to be where he's at. He is just like, I just want to.
And that just shows that he wants to, like, that's what he wants to do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that, like, he had to, he'd push away other opportunities, but it's like, if I were in his position personally, it's like, yeah, I'd rather just be head of the gaming division. I don't want to be head of Microsoft.
Like, it shows how much he loves. And the thing is, like, backward. So we go through the Xbox One, and they do a lot of things that are actually really good.
Mm-hmm.
Backwards compatibility.
That's my number one.
That was the biggest one. They went backwards compatibility.
That still now is their biggest leverage, I think, is their backwards compatibility, because it seems like and Nintendo too. Like, Microsoft is gaining momentum over that because they literally they're trying to give so much backwards compatibility to every one of their systems that no one else seems to be doing. They're gaining so much more off of that.
Yep.
Because
so
why wouldn't you buy a system that not only can you play everything you already have, but the new stuff too?
Exactly. So, and mind you, like, there have been studies shown in past years. Like, there was a reason why. I remember there was a study. This was years ago, but like the reason why the PS4 didn't go back to wasn't backwards compatible. It was, I believe, there were studies shown that like only 15% of gamers play past gen games, which now that's not seeming like a thing. Again, times are changing. This is back years ago, almost a decade ago. Backwards compatibility, I think it's because all of the teenagers, all the high school kids like us who or college kids who bought PS4s and or PS3s, we're now adults and we're like, we want to play our old stuff now. And the thing is, people, I don't know how many times I've heard people like talk about and ask, like, is the PS5 backwards compatible to the entire PlayStation library? It should be, but again, Sony messed themselves up years ago with the PS3. The thing is, like, the architecture of the PS3 is so weird that it's like, how do you, like, the way they made the PS5 is very much almost like with the PS4 in mind. So that's kind of what they did. But you also, so you have backwards compatibility on Xbox. You have the Play Anywhere initiative, which is day one, playable on you can play it on your PC or Xbox. Now, me and Spectre have talked about this, and like Spectre's like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Why should I buy an Xbox then if I have a PC?
Right.
Which I agree with, but it is more consumer friendly because if like people don't want to play on consoles, there are people who like straight up and down don't want to play on consoles.
Well, and then it also depends on the game that you're playing, because some games lend themselves more to a controller and sitting on your couch, whereas some games are you get a richer experience, or it's just more intuitive to play it with a mouse and keyboard or on a PC. But then the thing is you also have the option to use a controller on your PC. Yeah. So it could ultimately, depending on how you choose to set up your systems, there really isn't a difference. I would say that the PC has the advantage only because, again, it can become more powerful and better than a console, which cannot be modular. And so you have the ability to get that much more graphical fidelity, frame rate, the fact that it's also a straight up computer, so your communication interfaces and your versatility in that facet are way, way bigger. Yeah. Like, I don't even know, can you get Discord on an Xbox?
I believe so.
That's what I'm asking. But
mind you, Microsoft is trying to buy them. That's the thing. Microsoft is trying to buy them. So there's that.
But the point being is, let's say for the sake of argument that you couldn't, like, you're limited when compared to the PC. Even if you could play the same games on an Xbox or a PC, you can use a controller on a PC where it essentially becomes the same experience. The only difference being is how big is your monitor compared to your television.
Yeah, and the thing is that I feel like these were all setups, kind of like setups to the big play, which is Game Pass. That I think it was like they went, all right, backwards compatibility. We're going to set this up first. Then we're going to do the Play Anywhere initiative, where it's you can play on PC or Xbox day one. Doesn't matter what game it is, you can play on both. Now it's Game Pass. Now, and that I remember watching the showcase of last year for Xbox for the Series X, and that's when they announced Avowed, the new Obsidian game, Fable 3, by Playground, all the new games that Microsoft is working on by acquiring studios. That's another thing. They went ahead and just went on a shopping spree of just we're going to take Double Fine, we're going to take Ninja Theory, we're going to take Obsidian.
Basically fortifying the defenses for what was coming up.
Well, the thing is, they knew, they were our own studios can't do it because all we can do is make Halo, Gears, and Forza. So,
because those have been really the only exclusives Xbox has had for the past couple years.
Yeah, I mean they have others. Exactly, they have others, but those are the ones that sell. Ori and the Will of the Wisp is fantastic, but
you can get that on PC.
Well, that's part of the annual Play Anywhere initiative. That's kind of that's that. So they went ahead and then they bought Bethesda. They just straight up and went, ours now. 3 times the deal that Disney spent on Star Wars. So I think it was $7.3 billion, something like that. It was massive.
Billion. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was billion. I think it was with a B.
Enough money to pretty much do whatever.
So, and that's just what they did. The thing is, it wasn't money that they took from and it was literally just spent free, just money they could just F away. It was just all right, yeah, this is ours now. And it's kind of been the big talking point with Microsoft. Now you have Game Pass. And Game Pass is becoming a massive talking point about what makes Microsoft better. Now, let's talk about Game Pass. A few things is that, so MLB The Show 21, so this year's baseball game, is now multi-platform. I believe it's the MLB pretty much wanted it to be multi-platform, or the studio who made it. I can't remember, but it is a PlayStation game. It's been an exclusive for 13 plus years, at least a decade. And now it's multi-platform. It's on Xbox and PlayStation. But it's very much people know it as this PlayStation studio who's now made it multi-platform. Here's the problem. The problem is that you can get MLB The Show on day one, so it's been since day one on Game Pass, where if you want to play it on PlayStation, you have to spend the $60, $70 plus dollars outright. It's not on PlayStation Now, it's not on PlayStation Plus, anything. You have to spend all of the money on it. Another thing that PlayStation Now, which is PlayStation's streaming service, and that's another problem that PlayStation has, is that PlayStation Now has been out longer than Game Pass has. And people still don't know what PlayStation Now is. People know what Game Pass is, but now everyone goes, what's that? PlayStation Now has been a streaming service since they bought Gaikai back in like 2012, 2013. And now they're kind of doing the same thing. It's $10 per month, just like Game Pass. All the games that are for the PS4, you can download to your system and play them. But any game that comes from the PS3, you have to stream, which is bad. Like, streaming games is not good because so much more.
We saw what happened with the Stadia, and that should be enough.
Yeah, exactly. So streaming games, no.
Or I should say what didn't happen with the Stadia.
Yeah. So you have that. And what they have done, so Outriders just came out. It's a new game. It's been out for about a week or so. People are loving that game. People are enjoying the game. It's had its problems. It had some like kind of flub ups on, they needed some day one patches and stuff. But overall, people have liked it. And it's another like single player. It's another like looter shooter kind of game, like Destiny or whatever. So that's day one on Game Pass, and people are loving that game. In order to combat that, Sony goes, we're going to put Marvel's Avengers on PlayStation Now. And everyone's like, what are you doing? Like, why? Yeah. Why? Like, who cares? They did put, they put some other games. They put, like, Borderlands 3, which is a really good game, and a few others. But, like, Avengers? Like,
probably because they didn't have anything else at the time to put on there, and they got,
Well, the thing is that both games are published by Square Enix. Both of those games are published by Square Enix. So,
which is generally Sony exclusive until Kingdom Hearts threw the wrench in the works with that.
Well, Square Enix is the one who's like, we want to make these multi-platform because we want to make more money. That's a publisher thing. PlayStation has had a really good relationship with Square Enix for years, forever. So that's another problem. And it's just that Sony, for the past month or so, all they've been doing is cutting themselves. Like, all they've been doing is doing self-inflicting wounds to themselves. Shutting down the past gen store for the PS3, PSP, and PS Vita. Not really. They need something to compete with Game Pass. They need it. This is not something that they like, we could just sell our, God of War and Uncharted for normal price. No. A big reason why people like Game Pass is because I don't have to drop.
It's more options.
Well, no, it's also, I don't have to spend $60 or $70 on Halo Infinite.
You're not buying things individually. You get to experience them for like one low subscription.
And the thing is, like, for me personally, Brett, I'm not a fan of Game Pass personally. Now, I have softened on my opinion on it because Destin Legary from IGN, he has his own YouTube channel. He talks about this, and he talks about how he talked to publishers and developers, and actually it's a very good thing it's a good thing for the developers, because there's a lot of developers who have made indie games that no one would see, but because it's on Game Pass, it puts more eyes, because people are like, oh, what is this?
It comes down to the marketing and your resources.
It's just like, it's kind of like the thing where it's the same thing where, like, if you're browsing through Netflix or Hulu or Disney Plus or whatever.
Well, when you say it like that, it also almost makes me think like PlayStation seems to have the idea that only those who have proven to consistently be the best or come out with these, huge titles are worth bothering with, because we know it's going to be good, where I think Microsoft has adopted the idea that we don't know what might be the next big thing, so we're going to give resources and, exposure to all of these smaller ones, because because that's where some of the biggest breakout, indie gems that you'd never know about otherwise unless you're a Steam fanatic. But you'd never find them.
But the weird
thing, they're saying they could be big, but we don't know. But we're going to take the chance, and we're not losing any money on it because we have this subscription-based service. Whereas Sony is like, we have to have something worth $70 a piece to come out, and all they're doing is just remaking old titles, which there's nothing wrong with that. But they're not really They don't have the ability to start building a big enough catalog with their system.
Well, the thing is that it's that Game Pass is gaining all this momentum because the marketing for Game Pass is out there. You can get Game Pass for $1, and you can get Game Pass Ultimate, which is you get Xbox Live and Game Pass all at one time. And like and then they do the whole thing where if like you already have Xbox Live and you buy Ultimate, Ultimate is added on top of however long you have Game Pass. So, like, that's a thing. Like, it's just Microsoft is doing so many consumer-friendly things. It's actually surprising. I'm glad they are. I'm not saying this is a bad thing.
Sure.
But it is surprising because I'm not used to Xbox doing this. Now, mind you, the whole premise of both of these companies is to make money. That is the whole thing.
It's a business.
It is a business, yes. But the thing
they're not concerned about the same things we're concerned about.
Exactly. I mean, well, mind you, it depends.
At least not a 1-to-1. I mean, obviously there's always exceptions, but in general, like the higher up you go, the less about the artistic medium it is, the more about how profitable it is.
But I think the thing is that if so for instance, I pulled up Twitter. I pulled up our own Twitter, Dualshock'd BOG. If you want to follow us, please follow us at Dualshock'd BOG on Twitter. But I went ahead and pulled up Twitter, and I pulled up Colin Moriarty, who I talk about him a good number of times on this show, at No Taxation. He runs Last Stand Media on YouTube. And I went through his tweets, and it really kind of was like, wow. So on April 9th, he goes, my biggest takeaway from today's Bloomberg report is just the utter disrespect Sony internally showed Bend after Days Gone. Absolutely insane to think that you should put that team back in serfdom after they released a great AAA title, which they did. Also, no one wants a remake of The Last of Us, which I agree.
There's already a remake of it.
I love Last of Us.
As do I, but like the PS4 remaster that's more than enough.
Exactly. Like
a remake of Demon's Souls, sure, because it's only available on the PS3.
Or I mean, mind you have a remaster of the Uncharted collection, which is Uncharted 1, but I would rather see there's I've seen on Facebook, on Twitter, of people going the older franchises that we want remade is like Jak and Daxter, Sly Cooper,
stuff that you can't play on the new systems. That's really the only reason I think that a remake of games like Demon's Souls, Jak and Daxter, any of that stuff, remaking those games is more valuable because they aren't playable unless you have the old system. There isn't there are certain older games available for digital purchase on the PlayStation Network, but it's not enough. If you're gonna make a remake, make it something that there's no other way to get it unless you already have it.
No, I agree. So
you know what I would love to see a remake of?
What?
Black.
Ooh, yeah.
Tell me you wouldn't want to play that game with updating. I'm not even a big shooter, but that game was raw and it was awesome. The PS2. There's the only way to play it is on PS2.
I mean, dude, for me, I am a mark for this game, but I don't care.
I'm just saying, would you not want to play Black?
Oh, I would, but the another game I would love to see just come back. It's not going to happen. It's just not. But it's PlayStation All Stars. I would love PlayStation All Stars. Yeah. Whether Super
Sony Smash Brothers. Yeah.
It just add new characters, again, that game.
And you definitely could, because of you literally are going into it with an entirely different set of new technology. Not only can you make it look better, but you can fix and improve upon what is already there. It's like they said, it's harder to build a house from scratch than to take a half-destroyed house and rebuild it.
Mm-hmm. So,
or an old house and remodel it, if you want a better analogy.
He continues, Colin Moriarty continues, he says, I am truly nervous that we're dealing with a PlayStation that thinks they need to remake The Last of Us. What the hell is going on over there? And then
you're going to remake you that's the thing. It's like, you're going to remake a game that already has a remaster, as opposed to something that doesn't.
And it doesn't need it. And, like, look, you and I both enjoyed Last of Us Part 2. Like, yes?
I mean, I haven't beaten it, but I'm at the tail end of the game.
Yeah. But, like,
it's phenomenal. It's a great game.
Yeah. So, like, I do see its problems. Like, there are problems with it. Is it a perfect game like the first game? No, but it's not the piece of trash that another portion of the internet or another portion of people talk about. I disagree with that also, but it's also not the 10 out of 10 perfect game that other people have given it. Again,
it's like I was saying earlier, like, what is a perfect game?
Exactly.
I mean, there's always, even if a game is functionally and visually perfect, it depends on who's playing it, whether or not they're going to see something that they wish was there, as much as there might be. Like Ghost of Tsushima, I think that's a nigh perfect game.
Oh yeah,
it's very close. But there's definitely going to be aspects that people individually will say, well, it's not perfect because of reasons A, B, and C, or whatever. But so you're never going to have a unanimously perfect game.
Yeah, and then the next tweet is, where are you, Sean Layden? At Sean Layden. And Sean Layden, everyone's going, where is Sean Layden? Where is he? Because everyone's going, what is Jim Ryan doing? Because it seems like everything under Jim Ryan's control, because he's leading PlayStation right now. Ever since he has taken control, he has killed the store on the PS3, PSP, and PS Vita. Doubling down on, instead of making like newer games like a Days Gone 2 or other like kind of different stuff, maybe odd, off the kilter, it will either even out make a little bit of profit. Doubling down on blockbusters like, let's make a Last of Us remake, for the love of God.
Right.
How
many times do you expect me to want to play the same game?
But like, what are you going to do? That game is fine. And the thing is, what kind of terrifies me is that this remake. All right, we got Joel and Ellie from the original game. Let's reskin them to look like Pedro Pascal from Mandalorian, who is going to be playing Joel, and Bella Ramsey, who's going to be playing Ellie in the TV show. Let's reskin them to match the TV show. What?
Yeah.
What are you doing? And that game doesn't need to be remade. It doesn't.
No. The remaster was great because it brought it to the current system, and it included the one piece of DLC, and then slight visual. That's all it ever needed.
The only way I will go, okay, fine. You made a remake of Last of Us, fine. The only way I would be kind of okay with this is if it's not about Joel and Ellie, and it's not a remake of the first game that came out in 2013. Like, the thing is that when they said the sequel of Part 2, it should have been about not Joel and Ellie. It should have been with two complete. If you like make the game about Abby, you could have done that. Even not like instead of killing Joel, like whatever, like new characters,
like a Lost Legacy, like where it takes place in the same universe, and there's nods to the major characters that have been established, but it's focusing on completely new characters.
Like that's kind of what I was expecting. Part 2.
They made that game, so they could definitely do it. This is both the same company.
So it's just like right now, Jim Ryan has just been doing a lot of things where it's just what is going on over at Sony, and people are leaving left and right because we want to make games, and all you're doing is making us your support team. That's not cool.
No, it's
like Days Gone is like, here's the surprising thing: Days Gone is trending on the internet right now, and people are buying Days Gone and doing it, and it's because people are going. There's multiple things. Two things. One, people are finding out that Days Gone is actually a fun game, and the critics were wrong, which I agree. Like, critics were like, "Oh, it's only a 2 out of 5, 4 out of 10 game." I'm like, you're freaking wrong. What are you talking about? It's very.
Hey, I would just say, hey, you go make a better game. Like,
yeah, I know, but like
that's all I'd ever say to anybody. Is like, yeah, you go develop a game.
Well, but again, but also we review games also. But it's the thing is that like we reviewed Kingdom Hearts, and we messed up on like we have a review of Kingdom Hearts on our channel with an episode of Dualshock'd. And we'll, like peek behind the curtain. That review came out pretty much right when we finished playing it, so we were really amped.
And we were riding the high wave.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
I think we gave it a 4 out of 5 or 3.5 out of 5. And kind of looking back, I very much felt like it's a solid game because the bookends of Kingdom Hearts 3 is very good when you have the beginning and the ending, but everything in the middle when you have to go to the Disney worlds is just kind of meh. That's kind of and that's on us. And again, we're reviewers and it's our job, but there are things where I don't. There are things that I very much feel like there are games like Days Gone or Order 1886 where like if you look at reviews, people go, "Oh, it's a bad game because it's just the same." Even Ghost of Tsushima, it was crazy. Ghost of Tsushima, people said it was a great game, but the one thing I heard almost consistently from a lot of like reviews, and I'm talking about reviews from like Polygon and IGN and like the big name video game media, is that I've played this game before. I've played this Assassin's Creed, Zelda, Breath of the Wild.
Oh yeah, okay. You say that, and then those are the same people that consistently buy the next Assassin's Creed or Zelda.
So like
it's good, and that's why you buy it. It isn't like, the same.
Oh man, I'm having chocolate cake. Oh my god, I can't believe I got another chocolate cake. Man, I hate it that I'm having another chocolate cake. That's not even a
reason, really. That's just saying, oh, it's similar to other games. Yeah, so what game can you even point at nowadays that doesn't share DNA with a different game? It's just how games work.
And sometimes I want to play games that, like, sometimes I want, like, I'm glad that it's familiar, but also Ghost of Tsushima it still felt different because of how, it had a combat system similar to Batman. Great. Like, that's fun, though, right? Like,
and it's still vastly different.
Exactly. So, like,
there's a lot more to it.
So I'm just like, I'm getting frustrated at PlayStation that you're just letting this very. I was talking to my brother. My brother has kind of been like
Brett.
this.
Brett.
Yo.
You can just cut this part out, but we got to start wrapping up soon because I got to do stuff.
Okay.
Your brother?
Yeah. So my brother was going ahead and talking about how this PlayStation feels like the PlayStation of PS3, the era of the PS3. So,
like they're making the same mistake over.
Yeah, like, but mind you, it seems like, excuse me, it just feels like that. Like the reason why people are asking, where is Sean Layden? Sean Layden is the reason why we got Crash Bandicoot. He's the one who was like, I want Crash on PlayStation. Activision, we're gonna make a deal with you. Put Crash, and that's part of the Call of Duty deal. Like Activision went to PlayStation for that deal, and because of that contract, they were like, "All right, now let's get Crash." And now Crash, we got a Crash 4 because of that. I don't understand what is happening over at PlayStation.
And it's like it seems like it's almost like we should have seen this writing on the wall. Like after all that's happened since the release of the PS5, and the fact that it's still barely available, yet they have a focus on trying to maintain a demand for something that they literally can't even supply.
Well, again, the whole PS5 supply problem, like having systems, that is something that's out. Like they are, like I will definitely say that they are doing their best.
I accidentally just sent you a text. Ignore it because
no, it's fine.
There's a heart emoji in it. Just ignore that one.
Oh, it's so cute. Oh, I'm so loved.
Yeah. Not that I wouldn't send it to you, but not with the context that I typed before.
Well, I'll take it as you texted it to me.
There you go.
But it's the whole thing with the PS5 system supply. I can't count. That I actually cannot count.
I'm just saying it's not like it's necessarily their fault. There's a lot of other factors out of their control. But it's part of what they're doing now, and also that being the case, and them not really caring. Apparently,
no. It's multiple things. So I can't count with the PS5. And honestly, here's the thing: they probably wanted to put like Miles Morales PS5 only, and a lot of these like new releases, like exclusive PS5 only. Like Horizon Forbidden West is going to be a PS4 to PS5 game also. And that makes sense. That's going to be a big game that people are going to buy. And then this God of War Ragnarok, probably the same thing, whatever. Returnal is a new IP. It's not tested, so they put it as a PS5 only game, and that's good. And there needs to be PS5 exclusives, because then it just goes, why should I even get the system in the first place?
That's basically that's what my point was, basically.
I get you, but the thing is...
there are some, but barely any, and most of the ones are remasters.
But the reason for that is because the supply of the PS5 is so small. I believe that they went, you know what? We're going to make this double system. It's going to be on both, and we're going to try to do that so that way people can get this game into the hands. So I can't count the PS5, but it's the bad marketing of the PlayStation Now. That's a big thing. They need to compete with Game Pass. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I don't agree with Game Pass because I want to keep my games physically, because if they choose to rip it away from Game Pass, you're screwed. You can do. Exactly. Yeah, and Netflix does that all of the time. Like this past January, all of Power Rangers is gone. All of it. Thank God I own seasons 1 to 20 of Power Rangers. I can watch it. But like when that happened, those DVDs of those shows skyrocketed. Same thing with games on the PS3, on the Vita, and PSP. Because they're ripping away the PS3 store, so that's number 2. Because they're killing off the PS Store, and the PS3, PSP.
Well, that's just that's just the general problem with the idea of abandonware. I mean,
well, yeah,
like the idea, like that, like I mean, we've had long discussions on physical versus digital being the main aspect of it's because I don't mind getting a digital game, but there's always the idea that it could just be taken away and I paid for that, and even if I got a refund, it's not the point. Like,
yeah, and that's
it's basically it's basically just on a moral ground, like that's not fair.
Yeah,
to just give up on something that people want, that people would, if there's still people who want to play it, even if it was one person, like it doesn't matter. Like that shouldn't be up to you to just be able to yank that away just because you don't see it as financially viable anymore.
But the whole thing with the video game, with like video game publishers, is that they want control over their games and as much as possible. And honestly, that's why I don't agree with Game Pass. I understand why it's so attractive to the consumer, and it really is, but it's also you don't own your games, so there is that thing. But I do understand why people want it, and that's just the world we're in. It's not about owning. It's not even like owning movies is becoming a thing of the past. It's about buying them digitally. That's the whole thing.
Or having a streaming service.
Exactly, and streaming has become the new cable. Gotta have Netflix because of the originals. Gotta have Hulu for Animaniacs and all the TV shows.
And again, dude, it's the same thing. It's almost a perfect parallel to the gaming world when you compare like different movie-only streaming services, because they also get exclusives where you have to have that service to enjoy that media. It's the same concept. It's just that there's far more of them.
Yep, and there have been multiple reports saying that in about 5-10 plus years, mind you, we've had this in the past, but like in 5-10 plus years, our consoles will be digital only. Meaning there won't be a disc drive, and that doesn't.
I'm not getting rid of any of mine that are physical. So
I agree. Oh no, I agree. But I guess the takeaway, the final point before we go ahead and end, is that PlayStation. We are right now sending out an SOS. Sending out an SOS. Sending out an SOS. But we are definitely, like, the PlayStation Nation, we are sending out an SOS to PlayStation going, what the hell is going on over there?
Like, we can only continue to support you for so long if you're basically shooting yourself in the foot.
It's like, and this is going to turn more people to Xbox and more people to.
I mean, and as things stand, rightfully so. I mean, what do they have to lose by, well, like, or what do they have to gain by sticking around with PlayStation if they keep down this track, as opposed to switching to Microsoft, where the options just steadily keep growing.
Like, and the thing is that
you can go out and buy a Series X. You can't just, I mean, like, or at least much more easy to get your hands on than a PlayStation 5.
No, it's actually just as hard.
Well, even so, if you do get one, you have a higher value because of the Game Pass.
Exactly, and it's the same reason with PS5. They don't, like, what exclusive, like, they don't have any, like, Series X exclusives. Really, they don't.
They don't.
They don't. So you can just have an Xbox One, get Game Pass, and play all that stuff. You can play Outriders right now on Game Pass, and that's kind of what's happening. Right. So it's just like you're doing all of these things. You need to market PlayStation Now. Honestly, I think you just need to change PlayStation Now into a whole new different thing entirely.
Like, revamp the service.
Exactly. Like, call it, game, don't call it PlayStation Game Pass, but, like, something needs to be similar to that. You need a Game Pass competitor. You need to be competition to the Game Pass, because if you don't, Xbox is going to run away this generation with it. Game Pass will become the future. This is not
just like Netflix became the future.
Exactly, and this is not just me going.
It's just a matter of time, not a matter of time.
It's not a matter of It's not if, it's when. So they need to compete with Game Pass. They have to. I understand why, because that's a lot of money you're leaving on the table of, like, oh, well, buy God of War Ragnarok and buy Spider-Man 2, and people will buy them right away. Yeah, but, like, you need to deal with this.
That's only going to sustain you for so long.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in the long run.
Mm-hmm. So that's one. You need a Game Pass competitor. You need to compete with Game Pass. Two, you need to be more transparent with us. Phil Spencer's doing a phenomenal job of telling us what's going on over at Xbox. I have no idea what is happening over at PlayStation and why is the the PS3 store, the PSP, and the PS Vita stores shutting down? Fine, you want to shut them down? Great. I hope to God you're doing that for whatever it is. There has been some reports rumors that there is a Game Pass, like, competitor, like PlayStation Game Pass, that they're working on, but we haven't heard anything. And I'm like, I hope to God that the reason those are shutting down is because they're going to move those libraries into this PlayStation Game Pass whatever thing. That's what you need. You need to be transparent about, why are you shutting this down? We heard about this and you were quiet for a week. Like, the thing is, when me and Spectre recorded episode 50, we didn't have any information. The day the episode went live was when the update of, like, oh, Sony's, this is true, da-da-da-da-da. So you need to be more transparent. And 3, and probably most importantly, right now, you need to be more open, Jim Ryan, specifically. You need to be more open to these smaller studios, like Sony Bend, like Studio Japan, like the other studios that you have that are not Santa Monica, not Naughty Dog, not Guerrilla Games, and be like, yeah, make some weird stuff. Like,
because that's what's going to become the next thing. You can't know until you give the opportunity.
And that's how
you can't bank on the same big title from the same big company forever.
And that's how Crash
Eventually
Bandicoot,
it's going to get old. It doesn't matter how good it is.
Crash Bandicoot, like, back in the 90s, Naughty Dog was a small studio, and they took a bet on them, and it turned out well. I could go through just a list of studios.
You have to be able to risk. You have to.
Exactly. Like
that would be like my main point is like if you're not willing to take any risks, eventually even what you have that may be good will become stale.
Like the reason I fell in love with PlayStation I had a PS1 and I love my PS1, but I went to original Xbox. What made me fall in love with PlayStation, made me a PlayStation fan, is actually during the PS3 era where they were like exclusive. Here are all of these exclusives. We're just gonna like remasters and everything. Here we're gonna try new things and all of this. That's what made PlayStation so attractive and made me go, I love PlayStation, because they had those like, you can only get this on PlayStation. It's different, weird stuff. And like, yeah, PlayStation All-Stars didn't do well because everyone called it a Smash Brothers knockoff. I still loved it. I still bought it. I played that thing twice on my Vita and my PS3. It's like, and that's just one example of many games. Like Sly Cooper 4, Thieves in Time, phenomenal game. I love that game. Didn't sell well, but still a great game. Still worth making. Like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, Jim Ryan needs to be okay and be open to these weird different games like Death Stranding, like, so on and so on. I could go on and on. But those are the three big things that PlayStation needs to fix, and they need to fix them fast, or Microsoft is going to come running out the gate with this. They're doing a phenomenal job right now. Any last words?
I mean, yeah, my final point, I mean, because I agree with your three main points. Like that's what's needed to happen. I would just say, again, it comes down to what's most important isn't profitability. It's important business-wise, but you can only maintain your profitability if your focus is making games that are new, interesting, and fun. Not to say that you can't remake, and that's fine. But that essentially seems to be their entire game plan, is to just keep remastering already existing titles and give nothing new and interesting a chance, which you can't do, because as good as those bigger companies may be, like your Naughty Dogs and your Santa Monicas and your Guerrilla or whatever, they may able to be consistently putting out really polished good titles, but it's still the same stuff that was seen the year before. With a little bit of difference. Even if like they were given something new to do, it's that like they're stuck in their ways of doing the things that they do their way, and you're never going to have an like nuance and new ideas from fresh perspectives if you keep relying on the same developers for everything. Only because based solely on the fact that they've been profitable in the past. That's literally their reasoning, which is not it's not a sustainable business model.
No, I agree. I
agree.
Over
someone who accepts change.
Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly on that.
They just need to get their shit in gear, man.
Yeah, no, I agree. This is I hate this. And look, I am glad that one last thing before we end is that I am glad that Microsoft is coming out the gate swinging, because this makes competition.
It's going to force Sony's hand.
And
if nothing else, it's going to have to be like they're going to have to do something, or they're going to lose. Because then the profit margin is going to be affected, and if that's even if that's all they're caring about, it's going to force their hand, because they're going to start to just be overtaken, and they're not going to want that to happen, so they're going to have to try something new, because if what they're doing now isn't working, if they have any sense at all, they're going to have to try something different.
And mind you, last generation, because PlayStation just ran out the gate and kind of just took off winning, this made Microsoft fight from behind and go backward compatibility, Play Anywhere Initiative, Game Pass. And that is what is helping them. And that's why I very much, the starting of this generation is different from when back during the PS3 or even last generation relating to Xbox, because I feel like both of them came out the gate very evenly. But now it's kind of, as I said, self-inflicting wounds of PlayStation onto itself.
It's like acceleration versus top speed.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. So PlayStation can come back, but they need to act on it fast. And if they don't, people are going to convert to the Xbox.
They're going to lose.
There's a lot of people who aren't touching their PlayStations and playing on Xbox because of Game Pass. It's just that. So Yeah. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. Tell everyone you know. Tell your boyfriends, tell your girlfriends, tell your pets, tell your grandparents, tell your parents, all that kind of good stuff. We would love to go ahead and hear from you. Do you agree with us about everything that's happening with PlayStation? Do you... we would love to hear from you. But also, please subscribe to the channel. YouTube.com/Brotherhood of Geeks. Like, comment, share, subscribe. And also, press that bell icon down there. That way, whenever we put up a video, you know we put up a video. You can also follow us on Facebook, which is Facebook.com/The Brotherhood of Geeks. You can also follow us on Twitter at Dualshock'd, BOG. That's the name of our PlayStation podcast. Dualshock'd. Oh, wait, Dualshock'd. There we go. BOG. And then you can also follow us on Twitch when we stream at twitch.tv/Brotherhood of Geeks. So, whew, yeah. So, yeah. Anything else, Guru Blaze?
No, I think we spoke it all.
Yeah. All right, then. Well, then, I'm Brett J. Rasmussen.
I'm Guru Blaze.
And as always, live to play, play together. We'll see you guys next time.